Hey, Footclan, before we get into the rest of the matchups, want to remind you about fantasychamps.com. That fantasy finish, it is coming up rapidly, and you got to get that championship trophy for your league. You got to get those rings. They're getting a new belt up there, a customizable fantasy championship belt, and it is hot. You got to check it out, fantasychamps.com, and when you check out, make sure you use the promo code BALLERS.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Redraft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome to the show. Friday, November 10th, 2017. We are one day ahead of Veterans Day.
Yes.
And so, happy Veterans Day.
Yeah. What's up, veterans?
This is the 99th year of commemorating veterans on Veterans Day. So, thank you, a very special thank you to everyone who has served this country, to those, I believe that everybody that has ever enlisted has sacrificed to serve this country. And so we say thank you to those. I just lost my great uncle who served in World War II. And the sacrifice, you know, going to his service and things and hearing the stories, it's just stuff that we can't comprehend, but it is stuff we benefit from every day. So thank you to all of the veterans who have served. Thank you to the families of those that have served, who have sacrificed as well. All right, welcome to the podcast. We have a great show. The second half of the matchups on the podcast today. I am here with Jason and Mike.
Howdy.
Per usual.
Howdy?
Yeah. Well, that's a common greeting some places.
Well, and it fits in with the wild NFC West games from last night. The Wild West.
Yeah, that was wild.
Howdy, partner.
I have so many thoughts about the game, and that's what we're going to get into with the quick question. Thursday Night Football thoughts. Look, I suppose I should preemptive strike here.
Dude, you gotta drop that music.
What, the diary entry?
Yeah.
Dear Diary. Look, I went to the mat for Adrian Peterson. And fortunately for me, the checks and balances we've established with this podcast, named Brooks, Mike, and Jason, they all put in their majority vote that Adrian Peterson would be a fantasy football failure. I thought that I would be okay with 21 carries. I wasn't. And look, it took an otherworldly record-breaking 29 yards to let me down. So I want to publicly just apologize to you, dear diary, and to the world.
To the diary.
Yeah, I'm apologizing to the diary.
Hey, book, I'm sorry I have to write this.
I drew some pictures of Adrian Peterson and 30, 40 fantasy points.
I heart AP.
Earlier in the week. So, look, when you're wrong, you're wrong.
Well, here's the thing. Tristan Cockcroft, he tweeted this out. Adrian Peterson's 3.2 PPR fantasy points are the third fewest by any player who has had at least 22 touches in a game since 1960.
Whew. One part predictable, one part perfect storm. Like Clooney, Wahlberg, they were involved in what happened last night. And I still thought there was a teeny-weeny chance that I'd get bailed out with the goal line touchdown at the end. It wouldn't have bailed me out of the waterbed. I'd bet he'd be a top 12 guy. And, this is how I ranked him. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry it didn't work out. 21 carries, you can tell me that from any running back, and I would have been happy. The game went the way that Jason said, went the way that you guys believed it would. It stayed close, but not close enough. And there was no lead for them to be able to lean on the run game. They tried to, and Bobby Wagner and company shut them down. So the way it looks right now, Adrian Peterson is a great start against poor defenses.
Absolutely.
And on rest. And the nice thing is he gets a nice long rest, this being a Thursday Night Football game this week.
Do we have a moment to muse on Thursday Night Football?
Yes, of course.
We make the rules here.
So what do you guys stand? I mean, a lot has come out. Like 2 weeks ago, I think Richie Incognito came out against Thursday Night Football. Like, players have done this.
Right.
Richard Sherman a year ago did it, and then last night, Richard Sherman ruptured his Achilles, and Bobby Wagner came out. He was just saying how difficult it is to be prepared for that game.
Well, Chancellor left the field for a little bit. I mean,
huge amount of injuries yesterday.
Yeah, so
TJ Humphries, that's big for fantasy. He's tore his ACL. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's official.
The Cardinals left tackle. I mean, a lot of these things are, like they probably would happen on a Sunday, but it's just your body is more susceptible to it with such limited rest. The Seahawks, they won the game, but
they lost the war.
I would say both the Seahawks and the Cardinals lost last night.
My take on it is basically this. I love Thursday night football. I love having one game to watch on a certain night of the week. I love everything it means to fantasy football. I love getting excited for a game in the middle of the week. In terms of Richard Sherman, and look, it's sad for the Seahawks and for Richard Sherman what happened. He knew the situation. I mean, he's not like, oh my gosh, I have to play tonight. Like,
right.
He had already said he's coming into the week with a messed up Achilles. He chose to play. Like they didn't make the long-term decision. Sit him down for the week. You get an extra 10 days off. So it's not his. It's his responsibility. It's the team's responsibility more than his. He's probably always going to want to play, right? That's
sure.
how players are. There's talk of like maybe you add an extra bye weekend, and so all the teams heading into Thursday they get the lead time. You got 2 buys a year. Maybe you don't add to the schedule. You just got 2 buys. I'd like to see him keep it around. That's my personal opinion.
I love Thursday night football, even when it ends up resulting in garbage games. I just love football. But what I would do is, to make it a little bit more special, I would get rid of Thursday night football the first few weeks, other than maybe week 1, because obviously everyone is rested, right. And the last few weeks, basically when there aren't bye weeks, and just make the scheduling to where everybody who plays on Thursday night football, because we got buys basically from week 4 through week whatever, 10 or 11, depending on the year, and have every team that plays Thursday night football be playing after their bye. Then you have no issues with rest.
So don't schedule Thursday night football all year long. Just make it a special thing that happens in the bye weeks.
From week 4 through 12, which is the majority of the season, and just have them line up with bye weeks.
And again, this is one of those things where if the players have an issue, they have a players association that does advocate on their behalf. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's tough though.
You got to pick your battles. That's probably not the battle there.
Yeah, that's the whole economic discussion.
I know, but I'm saying from a complaining standpoint, like, it's an economic discussion. Do they want the money or do they not want to play on Thursday night football? So I'm just saying it's really the mechanism is there to control this. And I think that if a player, the Players Association, they have a choice in whether or not they play in these games when they are collective bargaining.
Sure, yeah, but I do think there's something like a 3-year contract already in place,
right,
for Thursday night football. So it's here for a while
that they made. Yeah.
So fantasy wise, really the only person you're happy about is Jimmy Graham.
You're not disappointed in Doug Baldwin. You're not disappointed in.
Yeah, you're fine with Russell Wilson.
You're
but
super happy with what Larry Fitzgerald did last night as well. I mean, if you played Larry, your expectations are
they surpassed. I mean, 10 for 113. Dominant again, 14 targets. I mean, that's 200-plus pace on a year. This is what we've seen with Stanton a little bit. Like, Stanton locks into him because, throw it to the long-haired guy. I've been saying it for years.
I think home Larry Fitzgerald is going to be a really good play the rest of the season.
The big upgrade is a big man. That's Big Gresh.
Oh.
He should have had 2 touchdowns last night.
I did get, like, a lot of people consoled me when I publicly apologized for Adrian Peterson. A lot of them said, hey, you got Jermaine Gresham right, so don't beat yourself up.
He scored last week. He's scored this week. I mean,
and he was just involved.
Could have had another one
throughout the game.
So we saw this last year too. That Big Gresh came on at the end of the year and became an actual startable tight end for fantasy purposes. I think it's very possible that Jermaine Gresham becomes a low end tight end 1 with Drew Stanton, just freaking out and throwing the ball all the time.
First of all, backup quarterbacks and tight ends, they're often friends.
Right.
Second, J.J. Nelson, John Brown, learn to catch the ball.
Shame on you all.
Like, Stanton was bad on a couple of big opportunities, and then he was made to look bad by a lot of drops. And, look, it is what it is. I believe the Cardinals have alternated win-loss for the entirety of the season. I think that they've had no streaks of any kind.
That's correct.
Just mediocre.
Nice.
Just in the middle of the road. All right, it is Friday.
Footclan Friday.
Brett McCannell.
Oh, Brett!
Come on down. You're the winner of a $40 gift card to shopballers.com, where you can get a Fantasy Footballers shirt.
A mug.
Or a mug. That draft day is my Christmas shirt.
Oh.
Starting to look a little
Tis the
nicer
season.
towards the season right now.
And winter is here.
That is what we meant. That's what we meant. Yeah. Twitter, at the FF Ballers. TheFantasyFootballers.com is the website. And look, Brett McCannell was eligible for that because he's a member at jointhefoot.com. Everybody at jointhefoot.com, we've got giveaways, extra episodes, extra perks in terms of projected ranking, or I'm sorry, full projections on our weekly rankings, bunch of cool stuff, consistency charts. That's our way of saying thank you for supporting this independent podcast. We do this every single day. We love doing it, and you guys make it happen. So thank you very much to the Foot Clan. Just a reminder, the new DFS podcast, it released this morning. So if you're into DFS this weekend, check it out on iTunes. Give it a review. Give it a subscribe. And let's jump right into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, this is big news. I mean, this is really the headline. People are like, come on, get to it. Ezekiel Elliott, he's on the shelf. He's suspended. I would say that it's because odds are what we want in this situation because they're always proven wrong. The likelihood of him missing a full 6 games at this point is a near certainty. Best case scenario might be a 4-game before a motion is ruled. But it looks like it's going to be 6 in a row. That means he's not back till basically Christmas, week 16.
Yep.
And we're back to the point where I'm saying, man, why didn't you just take it?
Now, there is an expedited appeal, so it's not I've seen some people saying, okay, it's official, he's gone for these 6 games. That's not actually true yet.
Yeah, but it's at least 4.
Yes.
No. Yeah, but I'm saying if there is a chance in that time frame that the expedited appeal can go through and get him out of this. It's always that way.
Well, it's scheduled. It's already on the schedule for
it's on
December
the docket.
1st.
Yeah.
So, but I'm saying that's...
So you miss all of November already.
Yes, he will miss 4 weeks. Then his appeal will be heard, which in this court, this is the same court that upheld Tom Brady's suspension. So I don't see a situation where they dismiss Zeke's final 2 games or whatever they need to do. So the question becomes, you have Zeke coming back championship weekend.
Doesn't matter. You got to get there.
Unfortunately, it's versus Seattle. So do you hold on to Zeke?
I don't.
No, yeah, I agree.
And if you can sell that story,
yep,
print it up, hand out the flyers. Let your league come to you and go get something.
Yeah, Zeke's on the trading block for sure for me. If I have him, I'm trying to find another owner who thinks they're championship bound and wants him when he gets back or thinks he can, in 4 weeks get back. If I can get something for Zeke and not take up a bench spot in this important time when I'm usually needing extra bench spots for, 2 weeks from now's defensive matchup or something like that, Zeke's not going to help you much.
But what if you're 7-2 or you're 7-2 or even better? You're 8-1. You're going to get that bye week, so you literally only have 1 matchup between you and the championship weekend.
Are we excited about what we're seeing from Leonard Fournette in the playoff schedule? Are we excited about? I mean, the Seattle matchup is the problem.
Sure.
First, you got to get there, and then if you get there, maybe you get like a middle of the road running back. I'm just saying,
he's not going to be a top 3
It's not very
guy.
easy to get to the championship when you lose a top 3 running back for the rest of your season. So, sure, perfect world, you make it, and he's great in your 1 game, and he wins you. You hop on his back and ride off into the sunset.
And then the other question is
do you
just
disagree?
What do you do with
No,
Zeke?
I'm just asking this is what the people are going to ask.
Yeah.
This is what my Twitter feed says right now.
Yeah.
In 280 character posts.
Are you guys saying if you can't trade him, you would consider dropping him?
If need be.
Okay.
If I need a roster spot, I would consider it. I would still hold him if I could. I mean,
he's a problem though because he's not eligible for IR.
Right.
He's not eligible for one of those spots because he's under the suspended circumstance. So would I think about it? Right now, no. I'm not cutting him right now because I want that expedited appeal situation because that could be the difference between your entire fantasy playoffs.
But
He could play 3 games.
But then how long do you hold on to him?
Well, you'd have to hold on to him for 4 weeks if you want to find out that expedited appeal.
If
and
I
then
can't
at that point,
trade
you're
him,
so
I'm not cutting
committed.
him.
Okay, so
That's my point.
That's
if
what
I
more
can't
what I'm
trade
saying.
him, I'm not cutting him until after that appeal.
All right. Now the other side, not what do you do with Zeke, but who is his replacement.
It's Alf.
It really looks to be Alf. Everything in practice when they expected to lose him looked like it was Alf. You know, look, Darren McFadden, Rod Smith, pick him up.
Yes.
Because maybe.
Sure.
I completely agree with that.
But it's Alf.
All right, it's Friday. By the way, Martellus Bennett was signed by
Yes, I
the
apologize.
Patriots.
I was wrong. That
I believe your exact words were they're too smart to sign him off of waivers.
I honestly thought they
In
were.
fairness, you did say they were going to sign him.
Yeah. So 50%.
How did you expect them to sign him?
I thought he would clear waivers, and then the Pats would pick him up. And then now they're talking about he has a torn rotator cuff. So, I mean, this is an interesting pickup by the Patriots to pay that salary for a guy with a torn rotator cuff.
He may go on IR.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Yeah, I mean that's the report. Is
Sure.
he may go on IR because if he can play through it though, he could potentially play through it. All right, Friday, it's time to play in and out.
What's it gonna be, McFly? Are you in or out?
Start with the running backs. Are they playing in or out? Devontae Freeman,
Full practice Thursday.
He's in.
C.J. Anderson.
Oh, man.
He's kind of a wild card because of the limited practice Wednesday. Then he missed Thursday, but that was an illness. So this is not related to his injury. If he is out, it's a really big upgrade for Jamal Charles and especially Devontae Booker.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's in.
Yeah, you'll take him. Okay.
Matt Forte.
I'm going to say out.
I will lean out as well.
Likewise. Wide receivers, Julio Jones didn't practice Thursday.
Yeah,
in or out?
I still think he'll play.
I'm not worried. He's in.
Okay. Michael Thomas, Des Bryant.
Michael Thomas is in.
Yes, agreed.
Dez, he really, really wants to play. He has not really been practicing.
Everything I've heard is that he is going to give it a go. So I'm going to go in.
Yeah, I think I think he will be active. But
he's going to be a risk.
Yeah, I think he is like an in-game worry to me where when you aren't able to practice at all because you're not physically able, but then you play, what's the chance you make it through that entire game? The matchup is great. I mean, I want Dez in this matchup, but I will have him much lower in my rankings than normal. And if I have other good options, I'll start them.
Okay, by the way, the Cardinals also lost Tyvon Branch. Pro Football Focus is number 5 safety this year.
Yeah.
Torn ACL.
Yeah.
That defense got a lot.
Cool. This
not,
all right.
not cool.
Cool.
Emmanuel Sanders, T.Y. Hilton.
Both play.
Chris Hogan.
I'm going to say out.
Danny Amendola then, a nice start.
He could be. He's still dealing with that hyperextended knee. He should be.
Okay.
The benefactor.
Marquise Lee, in or out?
In.
Zay Jones?
Out.
Jordan Reed?
I think he'll play.
Charles Clay?
I'm going to say
Expected to play.
Yeah, his coach.
But are you excited about him?
Yeah.
If he plays, I play him, honestly.
I agree.
Delaney Walker. I think he'll suit up.
He'll suit.
He's a tough dude.
He didn't practice last week. He played. He's not practicing this week. He'll play.
All right, a reminder. All you Footclan members, you get the game day alerts 1 hour before Sunday kickoff with updates on all of these injuries. JoinTheFoot.com. And Mike will be on Periscope an hour before kickoff as per usual, per his contract that he signed.
I like that
over
flair.
here. Yeah, we make sure he's working for you.
Yeah, it's always a good time. You should stop in.
Are you going to wear that shirt that makes it look like you're in the
Barbershop?
In the barbershop?
You'll have to show up on Sunday to find out.
That's a solid point.
I might not be wearing a shirt.
That's a blinding situation. All right, before we get into the rest of the fantasy forecast, we have 7 matchups left. I do want to take a second and thank Pristine Auction. Look, it's Christmas time.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
Especially on this show. We are big.
That's
I think
right.
we're putting the tree up today.
Good for you.
That's the plan. After
I
the
mean,
show.
you're about 10 days too late, but good for you. Better late than never. Brooks
is shaking his head
tree
over
status.
No. It's not going up for a month.
there.
Oh, enjoy
It's not
Thanksgiving.
It is not Christmas time, as you said.
You can support Brooks in his goal of finding limited happiness in this world.
Yeah.
Do you got like a Patreon page for that? Limiting
Brooks,
3 weeks of happiness?
What's the most magical time of the year?
Fantasy draft time.
Oh,
Good answer. Good
good
answer.
answer. Good answer. Good
All right.
So we think
what's the second most magical time of the year?
All right, Christmas.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet.
You're not there yet.
I think I was talking about pristine auction.
We certainly were. Because it's Christmas time.
I want to remind you
officially
the coolest gift you could ever give your football-loving family member is a signed piece of autographed memorabilia from pristineauction.com. Here were some auctions yesterday that ended because they have hundreds of daily auctions. Signed Alshon Jeffrey jersey, $75. Signed D-Jax jersey, $43. Signed Antonio Brown mini helmet, $77. Tyreek Hill signed mini helmet, $73. Look, this is an auction site. You can get that Odell Beckham signed photo of the catch. If you're a Giants fan, you really need to think of something good right now. $73.88. Sold yesterday at pristineauction.com. Love these guys. We sit down with them at least once a month to catch up. Their operation, it's top-notch. Their customer service, it's top-notch. pristineauction.com, P-R-I-S-T-I-N-E auction.com.
Yeah, and I've got a question for everybody, which is basically this. Are you a fantasy champ? Well, of course you are because you listen to this show. Yeah. Then fantasychamps.com will be the place for all of your
Champs
hardware.
Go to Champs?
Champs go to Champs.
Fantasychamps.com.
Champs go to Champs. Champ going to Champ,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
This is all coming full circle. Champs going to Champ at fantasychamps.com. They've got the sweetest fantasy champion rings. We've got a bunch of them up in our
with a custom engraved case. Yeah, we have 6 of them in our office with custom engraved cases.
You're darn right we do. Commemorate. And Mike mentioned the new belt that is there. That belt is awesome and actually customizable. You can put your league name or your team name or whatever you want it to say on the championship belt. And we teased this a little bit ago, but stay tuned because we are privy to information of something coming out in a couple weeks that I haven't seen out there, and we've talked about it for years. Like, it's going to be really cool. So make sure you check out fantasychamps.com. Get your perennial trophy right now so that you can put that plaque on it after the season and give it to the winner. Go to fantasychamps.com, promo code BALLERS.
All right, the Bengals travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans. The Titans are 4.5-point favorites at home, a 40.5-point over-under. Weather should not be an issue. Let's talk about all of the fantasy question marks in this matchup. Now, the Bengals, they're a very competent defense. They are in the upper half for points given up against quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends in the fact that they don't give up as much as the rest of the league. You have DeMarco Murray, who's been injured all year long. You have Derrick Henry, whose value is very unpredictable. You have a wide array of wide receivers, Matthews, Davis, Decker on the Tennessee side. And you have Mariota, who's slowly worked himself back from injury, looks better to me on the field, and then Delaney Walker with the injury. So you've got a lot of questions here. How confident are you with the Titans in this game at home?
Not.
Really?
Yeah. The Bengals are a really solid defense. Mariota has been very disappointing for fantasy purposes, and so I really don't want to start him. Murray, I know he was removed from the injury report. They're just going to have to put him back on as soon as the game starts because he just keeps getting nicked up. But then we don't have enough carries for Henry to have value. Maybe I'll play Rashard Matthews or Corey Davis. Yeah, Walker he's locked in just because he's one of the top tight ends. But I'm not really excited by most of this offense.
Yeah, when I look at the offense as a whole, it's tough to know where it's going to go because you've got Corey Davis. They say they want to get him more involved. They want to get him the ball more. Eric Decker's been showing up near the red zone more, and Rashard Matthews been great. So it's hard to know where it's going to go. But I do like the Titans in this game. I think and basically I think Cincinnati is they're looking to me like a team that is really trying not to quit, but it's getting harder and harder. They're 3-5. They've lost a couple games in a row. Andy Dalton has been very bad. They had, A.J. Green in the fight last game. It just looks like a team about to collapse. And while they are a very good defense, I think Tennessee's offense with a healthy Mariota, which is, I think we're there, this could be the game where they just quit. What is this?
Andy's almost upset of the week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, me and Andy are locked on this one.
I think the Bengals win. You agree?
Yeah.
I think the Bengals win this game, or in that case, almost win this game. I think AJ Green's my number one.
As far as the East is from the West, this is.
Oh,
Wait, we're just
between me and you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. I'm 0 for 1 this week on that East as West.
You got to get back by making more.
I think AJ Green's the number one wide receiver in fantasy football this week. He's my favorite play. The Titans give up 27.4 fantasy points per game to the wide receiver. AJ Green has shown his ability to have absolute monster weeks that puts him in that number one category, and he's coming back with something to prove after the disappointment of last week. The Titans' defense has been their problem all season long. I don't think that this Bengals team is going to end up quitting on Marvin Lewis, and while I don't love Joe Mixon in this game because he's just been really bad this year, the line's been bad, and the Titans don't give up a ton to the running back position, I do love A.J. Green, and I think the game's going to stay close, and I'm excited for this game, actually. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I do agree that A.J. Green should have a good game because Tennessee does give up those big plays. And look, you know, I listened to you on wide receivers. You're a top 10 ranked wide receiver expert this year. Little toot. But everyone's starting AJ Green. I don't think you can start any other wide receiver there. I've
got the Joe Mixon versus DeMarco Murray pick in a couple of my leagues.
That's gross.
What decision would you make there? Because you're probably going to get an okay fantasy day from one of those guys.
Mixon is averaging 2.9 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Yep. That is rough.
It's a huge disappointment.
That's a massive disappointment. If I have to make that decision, I'm going to go Murray. I think I'm going to go Murray over Mixon. But I'm with Andy. I like the Bengals more than this 4.5 points, and I honestly think that Andy Dalton is a streamable quarterback.
Yeah,
this week.
There you go.
I lean on the side that you think is going to win the game. I mean, when you're talking Murray versus Mixon, if you, Andy, believe that the Bengals are going to win this game, then Mixon should have the better game script, and not necessarily.
Maybe. Mixon's better when he's catching the ball. He's better in negative game script.
I think that the Titans take care of this game at home.
Could he just be better in general? Can we just ask him to be better in general?
Yeah,
Joe Mixon
and Tyler Kroft.
You got to keep firing him up.
Tyler Kroft's the tight end one. With Andy Dalton as his quarterback, he will remain a low end tight end one.
How many Tomb Raider games have they made? You could just keep rolling them out there.
Yes.
Vikings 6-2. They take on the Redskins 4-4. The Redskins are actually 1.5 point underdogs at home in this game.
Makes sense.
The Vikings, their defense is outstanding. It's not generally a good idea to start a quarterback or running back against them, and that's the same case in this game. I don't like Kirk Cousins. I don't like Rob Kelly. The wide receivers, they're too difficult to predict. If I'm taking a shot, I'm taking it on Doxson.
Yeah, Doxson over Crowder?
Yes.
Okay.
This week. And Jordan Reed, we expect him to play, but do we expect to play him?
Man, it's not a great match. Really, nothing's a great matchup against the Vikings defense. 13th against allowing points to the tight end, and Vernon Davis got a little bit nicked up in that last game. So
if Jordan Reed plays,
if I have Jordan Reed and he plays, I will play him.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be very difficult for me to not
Rule
start.
86 in place?
Yeah, it's in place.
Yeah, I would start Jordan Reed. There's, if you're looking at Tyler Kroft or Charles Clay or any guy like that, they don't have the upside that Jordan Reed has. And if there's one place you can beat Minnesota, which there's not really an easy place, but you're going to find a little bit more ease at the tight end position than you are at running back and wide receiver. So Jordan Reed would be the guy. If Jordan Reed is playing, I am starting him.
On the other side of the football, Minnesota, they're rolling Case Keenum back out there. Stefon Diggs should be back on the field. Another game, under his belt since the injury. Adam Thielen's averaging 78.5 receiving yards per game. That's fourth best in the league.
Beast.
Diggs isn't too far behind him, but the Redskins are pretty good against wide receivers. So do you think that Norman is swallowing up Diggs' targets and then Thielen's the beneficiary?
The thing is, actually, I talked about this last week. I don't know when I brought it up, but the slot receiver actually has more success against Washington due to Norman staying on the outside. So if Diggs is playing in the slot, then he is actually very interesting to me in this matchup. And Norman could go mano-a-mano versus Thielen, which for Thielen would not be the best situation.
Yeah, I think if you look at I downgrade both Diggs and Thielen because neither one is exclusive to the slot or the outside. We've seen Thielen in the slot this year. We've seen Diggs in the slot, and it's hard to predict what Minnesota is going to choose to do against this offense. But if I just look and I say, okay, this Washington defense, they have been great. They're top 5 against the wide receiver position in fantasy points given up. But bottom, they're the 29th best, so they're bad against the tight end. Your start of the week this week in Kyle Rudolph might be able to get it done. I bumped Kyle Rudolph up a couple spots.
Who do you have winning the game?
Minnesota.
I got Washington.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna start throwing that question in there a little bit more. All right, the Texans take on the Rams. The 6-2 Rams with Seattle now nipping on the heels. Rams are 12-point favorites against the Texans. Welcome to the NFL in 2017.
Wow.
At home, Texans savage on offense last week.
Ooh.
Lamar Miller, DeAndre Hopkins, the disappearance of Will Fuller due to Deshaun Watson being injured. Look, you can't be excited about anything on the Savage side of the ball. Now, do you think that Savage is there a chance Savage gets pulled in this game?
No, I don't think so. What's that face for, Jason?
Oh, Andy said something that was really true and clear and obvious when he said you can't get excited about anything on the Savage side. And you said, well, and I'm really excited to
You're
hear.
not excited to match up against the 31st team against the running back?
Sure, Lamar Miller.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So there is something to be excited about.
I guess I interpreted Savage as, the passing game.
Well, I'm including
But you're
Lamar
right,
Miller.
he is on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the same page. Lamar Miller should have a good week.
Yeah, I like Lamar Miller. Hopkins, if you have him, if you've not been able to trade him, you're starting him, and you're hoping that he gets another 16 targets.
Yeah, you're
so
going
he can have 5 receptions.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to need 16 targets. And just so people are aware,
the currency exchange of Tom Savage targets is not very good.
Yeah, just so people are aware, 16 targets is
268 target per year pace.
Yes, 268 target per year pace. That is not – you can't just go, oh, man, Savage is going to give him 16 targets. That is not a realistic expectation or number. Impossible to keep that up.
However, the recipe for success with a bad quarterback in DeAndre Hopkins in the past was predicated on the defense's inability to stop the offense. The Rams are the #1 scoring team in football. They're at home. So if you are telling me that I can have DeAndre Hopkins coming from behind from the entire game, I can live with it. I don't care if I get it all with the garbage man can. I don't care if it's garbage time. But there's a divergence here. I have Hopkins right now as my 6th ranked wide receiver. Mike, you got him 8. Jason, you got him 13. You're feeling a lot better rolling out a guy like Demaryius Thomas in the New England matchup than you are DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I honestly am. Both bad quarterbacks, but one has a great matchup. What's interesting for these two defenses, at least talking fantasy
they're the
terms,
exact inverse.
Yeah, they are the exact inverse, where the Texans are only good against running backs.
And they're great. They're #1.
And the Rams are only bad against running backs. So it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup, but I will start, like I said, Miller, Hopkins if you have him.
Okay.
King Goffrey is fantastic.
Goffrey's great, but
fantastic play this week.
Who are you taking? I mean, you've got Kupp, you've got Robert Woods, and you've got Sammy Watkins. Can all 3 get it done? And how do you order those 3 guys? If let's say you have those 3 guys on your roster,
Kupp, Woods, Watkins.
I'm going Woods, Kupp, Sammy Watkins.
I hate you both.
Hey, well,
because we're right.
Yeah,
Look,
I think because you're right, and because Sammy Watkins is 3rd on that list.
Good.
It hurts so bad, Mike.
Look,
Todd Gurley, though, you're not benching him.
No,
you're rolling him out there.
You are going to roll him.
Temper some expectations.
Yeah, this isn't the type of. Well, I've said that they're #1 against running backs. There's still going to be a very positive game script for Todd Gurley. 12-point favorite.
Give me that.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me those 22 carries for 29 yards.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we'll see.
Adrian.
All right, the Zeke-less Cowboys, 5-3, travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Falcons are 3-point favorites
Interesting.
At home, 50.5-point over-under. That's a bonanza game if I've ever seen that line. Has that line been updated, Brooks, since the Zeke news?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was it higher before? Do you know?
I don't.
It
I
was
did it
not.
this morning.
It was the same.
Yes.
All right.
Take that, Zeke. Your suspension does not move the line.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's got to feel
We'll see if
bad.
it changes before Sunday. Dak Prescott, Alfred Morris, Darren McFadden in the backfield. Des Bryant, I think he'll suit up. I think that muddies the water for a streamer elsewhere at the wide receiver position. And then Jason Witten, I actually think there's some upside for Jason Witten in this game. I know that the Falcons have been pretty good against the tight end. I think that tight end number is always very subjective because you face teams that utilize it, you face teams with talent, and then you face teams that have nobody. So Witten could be heavily involved if Des Bryant is limited. Do you guys find playing Witten?
Yeah, I'm fine playing him. It's not.
Would you rather have Hooper on the other side with the Cowboys defense?
That's a great question.
Middle of the road.
I would probably rather have Witten over Hooper, but I would prefer neither, to be honest. I think there's better options out there this week.
Tyler Croft or
I would
one
rather
of these
have
two
Tyler
guys.
Croft
Okay.
over both of these guys.
Now, the Cowboys, Tyron Smith, the left tackle, stud left tackle, he's not expected to play.
this is going to be really interesting to see what happens with Zeke. Zeke has come into the league behind, what's been the best offensive line over the last couple of years, and he's been protected.
You're talking about Dak Prescott.
Yes, Dak Prescott. What did I say?
You said
Zeke.
Zeke.
I was letting you
And
go because I didn't
multiple
know
times.
what you were saying.
There you go. Yes, Dak Prescott, to see how he's going to be able to perform if they're able to get pressure. And the Falcons, they can get pressure
Certainly.
on you. If you've got a backup left tackle in there, that'll be interesting.
Is this a get-right game for Matt Ryan and the offense facing the Cowboys defense?
Yes.
At home.
I think so.
So Julio Jones,
Yeah.
high expectations. Devonta Freeman, Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, let's get
Mohamed
Freeman
Sanu.
on track.
Let's
Atlanta.
get Freeman on track. Let's work on that.
I think this is a good game to get Freeman on track, because if you look at Freeman's home road splits, he is
he's a home
much
player.
better
Yeah.
at home, especially when it comes to touchdowns.
Next matchup, the Giants. They take on the 49ers.
Oh, what's so glorious about this?
The teams are a combined 1-16 on the year.
But I love so many players in this game.
Well, talk to me about that. Maybe you need some happy music.
look at the defenses.
NFL
right?
sad, fantasy happy.
This is what you have to look at: is the fantasy points allowed? The Giants are. I mean, they're green. They are green for everybody. You want them
Green for days.
That doesn't mean I'm playing Beathard, but Carlos Hyde, absolutely.
Yeah.
Marquise Goodwin, the new #1 wide receiver, who
Take a
is
shot.
12th most air yards in the league. Yes, please. Against that defense, Garrett Selleck, the Giants defense has given up at least one touchdown to every single tight end they've played.
Maybe.
It reminds me of a
Why
really,
not?
really, really bad restaurant. This game's a bad restaurant, but the restaurant's a buffet. So you just get to keep
Yeah.
going back, and it's quantity over quality.
This is what, the Golden Corral?
Oh, don't you? Oh,
Called
how
them out
dare
by
you.
name.
Golden Corral's fantastic.
Agree to disagree.
Oh my goodness.
Quantity over quality, my friend.
Oh my goodness.
Quantity over quality. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, the truth is, Eli Manning. You can.
This is a great
You can
stream.
stream him. I think the best player in this game might be Orleans Darkwa.
Yep.
The 49ers rush D.
They're the worst against the running back for
Not
fantasy
only
points.
are they the worst against the running back for fantasy points, but this goes back now to last year. This is a team that is not going to correct the ship. They don't have the pieces to do it, and it's so prevalent look, I don't care who the starting running back is against San Francisco. You have to get him in the lineup. And then you pair that with the fact that Orleans Darkwa has been pretty darn good since he has become the lead rusher for the New York Giants, and I see him as pretty much like a top 10 running back this week.
Yeah, would not shock me.
Okay. Any other guys you want to bring up before we get into Sunday
Sterling
Night
Shepard,
Football?
you got to play Shepard.
You're playing Shepard. You're playing
That's what
Ingram.
I'm saying. He's a top 5 tight end right now since
If
Beckham has left.
Garoppolo is a surprise start in place of Beathard, are you willing to stream Garoppolo
No.
in his first game?
No.
Okay.
I don't think. Would you?
At home? No, look,
I
I'm
wouldn't
willing.
stream him,
I'm
but I
willing to
would-
stream Beathard. I've already said that.
Okay.
Like last week, he was pretty good against the Cardinals, and he's at home. I think I'd be willing to go for the big play with Goodwin if I had to. So in that case, I
think DFS. This is just such a great game for DFS play. Yeah. If Garoppolo starts, take a shot at him just destroying this terrible Giants defense. And I agree with Beathard too.
The Giants are a team that has given up.
Yeah, they've already quit.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football, the Patriots. Did you pause?
Pausing.
Have you heard? Have you heard the Eli Manning Jacksonville rumors?
No.
Tom Coughlin reuniting there, maybe.
No.
Maybe next year. If Bortles isn't the future, you got a couple years with that defense, Eli Manning. Be kind of interesting.
Seemed to be like, I don't know. I think that's a step backwards.
I agree.
Could be.
Eli Manning's 36 right now. He'll be 37 next year.
Yeah, but they could have that team that manage the game. A lot of Super Bowls been won on the back of those type of guys.
Does anybody know exactly where Eli Manning is in his starting streak?
Yeah, it's like 144 games or something like that.
I think he's 1 game away from the record. It's either 1 game away from tying Peyton Manning. Not the record. That's Brett Favre.
But that's impossible for someone to break.
Peyton. With Peyton's record, he's like 1 game away from tying or 1 game away from breaking, which just, there's been these, are you going to bench Eli rumors.
I think he plays out the season.
Yeah, maybe.
But he's 1 game behind the regular season number of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, so he will get at least 1 more start. Or 2, because they'll want to give him the record.
All right, the Patriots. This is one of those games where the schedule makers thought it'd look a little nicer than it ends up. The 6-2 Patriots in Denver against the 3-5 Broncos. Broncos are 7.5-point underdogs. I think that Vegas is giving the Broncos a little bit of credit on that line at home. Sunday Night Football with the way they've been playing, 46.5-point over under. This is one of those games where I can't figure out how Denver wins it.
Right.
Like, I can't see an equation that works.
Well, because when you're staring at an impossible puzzle,
yeah, what do?
You just accept that there's no solution.
Cheat code.
Nope.
Is there any cheat code here?
There is no cheat codes for the Denver Broncos.
So I'm staying away from pretty much everybody on that offense.
Are you? I mean,
I'll take Demaryius
I'll still
Thomas.
take the fantasy points. I don't think
I can't touch a running back. I can't touch the quarterback. I'm not touching a tight end. So it's
Demaryius
just Thomas or Sanders.
Yeah, exactly.
Or both.
I think
of the pass D and
I would play both of them absolutely. And the sad thing for your statement about the running backs is I think that someone from the 3 will have a good game. I don't think it just spreads out and everyone's just I think that one of them will emerge and have a good game. I think it might be Booker.
Well, it would be Booker if the New England Patriots are able to score on the Broncos easily and get a lead. Now, this Vegas line says that and history, Tom Brady in Denver against that Denver defense has not been great. So if the game is closer, then you could actually see a C.J. Anderson decent play here, assuming he is suited up.
Right.
So I agree with you. It's hard to know which guy it's going to be, but one of them should be okay against this defense that has not been good against the running back from the Patriots.
Fantasy owners maybe not aware, James White been targeted 6.6 times per game, second highest in the league. James White has been very steady.
Yes.
If you need to start somebody at it's a steady flex.
Yeah.
Every week, no matter who. We always talk about Deion Lewis or Gillislee or Burkhead and that mumbo jumbo. James White has been kind of a steady 10-point guy in half-point leagues.
Do you read anything into Rex Burkhead finally being healthy and then getting 7 targets?
He's actually been, if you look at his healthy games,
read what into it? Like you're into Burkhead or as an anti-White thing?
Both of those.
Well, White was still really good with Burkhead.
I agree. I think it's more.
White's been double digits. Each of the last 2 weeks, 5 for 85 last week. I mean, probably doesn't help him to have somebody else getting targets out of the backfield.
Yeah, Burkhead is a guy that should probably be owned. While he's been healthy, he has been utilized and in the passing game. Also, I'm going to throw this name out there that I think you should absolutely start in this matchup is Gronk. I mean,
in my head, I'm like, there's no way he's going Gronk. Wait, no, it's Jason. There's a strong chance that he's going to name Gronkowski.
Gronk's getting 5 touchdowns this game.
It's very possible.
Moving along.
Okay. All right. Brandon Cooks, you're rolling him out. Danny Amendola, if he's healthy.
Brandon Cooks for sure. Amendola, I mean, it's like low-end wide receiver 3.
It's interesting.
Where do you put Brady?
I like Amendola this game. I really do.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Because I look, the Broncos defense, outside wide receivers, Amendola roaming the slot. I think Amendola is going to find some
Interesting.
opportunity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do we think of Brady?
Yeah, I mean, we're
Fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would still play him.
I guess all those Gronk touchdowns will go to Brady.
Yeah, they would.
You all have him ranked number 5.
There you go.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Monday Night Football.
Are you ready for some football?
Are you ready for some smoking Jay Cuddy in primetime? The Dolphins 4-4, heading to the Panthers 6-3. Panthers 9-point favorites. 40-point over/under. You look at the NFC landscape and you try to create narratives for teams and their success. You've got warts all over. The schedule for the Eagles in the second half, I think, will tell us what they are. Cowboys losing some pieces. I think they're a pretty good threat. Panthers are the kind of the surprise behind-the-scenes threat. At 6-3, I think they win this game 7-3. A pretty solid defense. I mean, this defense has been really good this year. Lowers the opportunity for Landry, Parker, Drake, and Williams in this game, but you should have them playing from behind. So what are the storylines for you guys after we've seen, Christian McCaffrey last week finally ran the ball 15 carries? What do you guys like out of this game?
Yeah, I think that the Dolphins' offense is very interesting to me. Jay Cutler kind of gets this bad rap in primetime, but if you look at his history in Monday Night Football games, he's actually had a lot of success on Monday Night Football. You've got the Dolphins kind of revamped, saying, okay, we're going away from Jay Ajayi, who was the face of our offense, and now it's that didn't work. Let's change it up. Let's get both running backs involved in the passing game, which I think really helps Jay Cutler. I realize this isn't a very good matchup, in Carolina for a really good defense. It's going to be difficult, but I think this Dolphins offense is going to surprise a little bit on Monday Night Football. Both running backs as kind of flex option plays, Damian Williams and Kenyon Drake. I'd be willing to throw them into a flex in my lineup. That's what I'm really interested to see, is how can the new-look Miami Dolphins offense perform on the road against really good competition this week. That's the storyline I'll be watching for.
Fair enough. Over on the Panthers, because I agree with that. I mean, Jarvis, you play him. Devontae Parker, you play him. He's been great. When Devontae Parker's healthy, what's he averaging, like 70 yards a game?
Yeah, the nice thing about the situation in Miami is that it's limited pass options. Like, they may not have a monstrous overall performance from the quarterback and the wide receivers, but it all goes to a few guys.
So, and speaking for Christian McCaffrey, the running back with the second most targets in the league is actually Carlos Hyde, 57. Number 1 is Christian McCaffrey with 72. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous, his utilization. I think we all expected McCaffrey to be a pass-catching specialist, but through this many weeks of the season, seeing him at 72 targets is incredible. So I'm playing him. Are you guys is there any questions for Devin S. Scrumptious? Are you playing him as the number 1 wide receiver?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm playing him. It's not a great matchup. Miami, you look at Miami and you think bad team, good matchup, but their defense has been pretty good against both the running back and wide receiver position.
He's more of a tight end.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, speaking of the tight end, the Dolphins, they are a plus matchup for the tight end. Do you have any interest in Ed Dixon?
No, really.
Andy is silently shaking his head.
I think Andy's right in the fact that Funchess is kind of that tight end type of player. I saw a tweet. I wish I could give it credit. I forget who it was, but it was like someone was kind of having that shower moment of like, wait, the Panthers' best wide receiver is a running back. And their best running back is a quarterback. And their best wide receiver is a tight end. It's like the unconventional offense.
5 for 86 last week for Scrumptious. And it's going to get better. They're at home. I like them in this game. Look, the weapon, it's Funchess right now in the passing offense outside of Christian McCaffrey. And that's pretty funny, by the way.
Can you play Jonathan Stewart?
They've reconfigured their team.
Nope. I'm not playing Jonathan Stewart.
All right. It's time.
The Daily Dose, brought to you by Draft.
Want to congratulate those of you who joined the World Series of Fantasy over at draft.com/ballers and are in the second round this week. Continued success. We being Jason and myself will be in New York City at the beginning.
New York City
at the beginning of December to kind of MC and be there for the watch party for the World Series of Fantasy Final Table, and we're very excited to be doing that. And right now we're going to jump into a draft for this week. Who lost last week?
Not me.
Not me.
Was it me finally?
It sure was.
Dang it. All right. The streak's over, Jay. I'm a loser.
Jason, we got to get a Pazuki.
Oh, gosh. That's what we're doing today. All right.
Not for you.
I know.
All right, so the draft is starting. We're just doing a regular draft this time. All players are available, and I have the 1-1, which means I'm not even making a pick because Le'Veon Bell is
I was just
#1.
I was just praying somehow
that I would overlook Le'Veon Bell.
That Le'Veon Bell would come back to me.
Get
I'm going to go
here.
with the aforementioned 5 touchdowns from Gronk.
Wow. Gronk, the first
that's a
pick.
hot pick.
That is a bold one, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and I got the back-to-back here at the turn. I'm going to take Shady McCoy, no doubt about it. And then I'm going to take my #1 wide receiver, A.J. Green, and put those two together.
Nice.
Turn it back over to you, Jay. You should go another tight end.
Yeah, you think so? I'm actually going to – look, I would have dominated in a certain week earlier, and I lost. I got last place because I picked this guy, and he didn't play.
Oh,
but I'm doing it
That'll
again.
get you every time.
Leonard Fournette against the Chargers. I think he has a chance to be the #1 running back this week. I'm picking him.
All right. Well, then I will regrettably take Todd Gurley because he'll be a good play this week. And then I'm looking at a wide receiver because, quarterback, schmorterback is what they say. Oof. I don't know if I want to double stuff on that Steelers offense. Nah. Yeah, that's a very tough decision between Brown and Mr. Julio Jones.
You got about 2 seconds left.
I'll diversify, and I'll go with the questionable Julio Jones. I might get Leonard Fournetted by Julio.
Well, thank
Jason
you,
went
Mike,
Brown?
because I will take Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting take here when we do the 1v1v1. I'm going to go with Matt Ryan here. And I'm going to go with Matt Ryan because Mike took Julio Jones.
Interesting.
I want to benefit
Interesting.
if Mike has some fantasy points there with Julio Jones. And then I've got to make a decision here whether I go wide receiver or I go running back. And I'm going to take to the CMC. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey.
Well, there's a running back that I want that I do not expect at all that you guys will take. So I'm going to go with – oh, no, now that I said that, you're totally going to take him.
Well,
I'm going to go
I'll
with
help you out, Jay.
Matthew Stafford.
I can't take a running back.
Yeah, neither can I.
Oh, well, fantastic.
And I would have taken Stafford. So in fact,
he's our #1 quarterback this week.
You made the right call. And I'm going to do the same thing that Andy did. I'm going to take Marvin Jones, and I'm going to
try to thwart some of Jason.
Yeah, I'm going to steal some of Jason's points. So I got to take my quarterback and
give me those smooth routes.
I'm going to take Dak. I'm going to take Dak. I believe that he will have great success.
I'm on the clock. Last
pick.
I can pick any running back I want. Melvin Gordon, Jordan Howard, Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. Great options. I'm actually going to go with Devonta Freeman as the running back that I want. I think at home against
I'm a little
Dallas.
shocked you didn't take Mark Ingram.
Yeah, no, I love him. But I think on the road against Buffalo, all of those running backs are just named. They're all just as great potential for a good game this week.
I went with the #1 fantasy wide receiver, despite the situation. I went with DeAndre Hopkins to round out my team. I got Matt Ryan, LaShawn McCoy, Christian McCaffrey, A.J. Green, and DeAndre Hopkins.
I've got Matthew Stafford, Leonard Fournette, Devonta Freeman, Antonio Brown, and Rob Gronkowski.
Dak Prescott, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, and the Jones brothers, Julio and Marvin.
We really need to put these in a Twitter poll so people can weigh in before the
I don't know if you guys
hits.
really
I am the highest
that.
projection, by the way.
Oh, what? Because of Hopkins?
No big deal. NBD.
Yeah.
Yeah, the #1 fantasy wide receiver.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes those guys, they overcome. They overcome the savage circumstances they've been put in.
Yep.
All right, that is it for today's episode. We really appreciate you tuning in each and every day with us, the Fantasy Footballers.
Hey, and if you want to play, just like we did, draft.com/ballers.
Absolutely. The website's thefantasyfootballers.com. You can check out a ton of amazing content over there. We've got staff of writers that are always putting out really insightful, interesting content. We started this podcast because we're like you, and we were kind of just crazy about fantasy football and wanted to consume as much content as we could. And we wanted to put out something that was really entertaining, and you definitely want to check out the website and the different things we have available to you over there. And enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
Enjoy your Sunday games. Brooks, thanks for another great week.
You're welcome. Caught me off guard.
Oh, I heard him.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.